What role does the city play in bringing in new businesses? That answer is coming up on Council Conversations. Hi, I'm District 6 Councilmember Chris Judd. Welcome to my Council Conversation show. Surprise has seen tremendous growth over the course of the past few years, and we're not the only city experiencing this. The entire West Valley has been booming with business and entertainment. This is great news for Surprise because when the West Valley wins, we all win. There are 15 West Valley cities that work together through WESTMARC, the Western Maricopa Coalition. Today, I am joined by none other than Sintra Hoffman, President and CEO of WESTMARC, to tell us more about this partnership and what to expect in the West Valley in the years to come. Welcome, Sintra.
Thanks. Thank you for having me here.
So let's start. Just give us an overview of what is WESTMARC.
Yeah. So WESTMARC is an organization that's focused on economic development and policy advocacy for the West Valley communities. Like you mentioned, 15 communities in the West Valley. And our boundaries are west of I-17, up to Wickenburg, over to Buckeye, and down to Gila Bend. So it's a pretty big area of 3,000 square miles.
Okay. You've recently been working on something called West Valley 3.0. So what is that?
So I've been at WESTMARC now 6.5 years, and I started at the beginning of this year going to our members, and we're a membership organization. And so I started talking to our members to find out, okay, what's next? What's on the horizon? We're doing really well in the West Valley. We've grown tremendously in the West Valley. But what are you dealing with in your area of work that you need differently from WESTMARC? And so it was really kind of started off like a WESTMARC 3.0 to so that we can get better at serving the needs of the growing community. That turned into really a West Valley 3.0 because they started telling me, well, this is where we would like to go alongside you. So I stepped back and I thought, this is really a West Valley 3.0. And I started looking at the way the community has evolved over the last several decades. And so I call the OG, that first time period of our grassroots and how we started as really that farming community, right? So we were a farming community for a long time. And then in about 2000, I would say, to almost 2020, we really had that hyper growth, mostly really from, I would say, the first 10 years. So 2000 to 2010, we had really hyper growth, drive to qualify, the race to the rooftops, as I call it. Right. And then the next decade, 2010 to 20, we obviously we had the Great Recession, and I think that gave everyone a time to kind of pause and catch up. So our schools were now catching up, our businesses were now catching up, our quality of what we were looking for was now kind of, stepping back and catching up to where we are today. So I call that kind of that 2.0 area. Okay. And as we head into what's happening next with a lot of the employment growth, so we have a lot of residents, as you know, surprise. But when I look at what's happening next, we're really focused, all of our communities are really focused on quality jobs, quality housing, quality restaurants, quality amenities, and so on, quality schools, choice in schools. So I look at that as the 3.0, is how do we prepare as a community for that next wave, but that wave being quality focused. Okay. So really just more quality of life for the West Valley with, and there's a lot of great businesses coming in. And then so you also have a focus on head of household jobs coming, right? Yep. So our residents aren't having to commute as much. Right. So as you drive out west, one may notice unique uses along each freeway. Things like healthcare, technology, manufacturing, and entertainment. So what are some emerging West Valley corridors? Well, immediately into our future is the State Route 30 that kind of runs parallel to Interstate 10, and it really, years ago, we called it the I-10 reliever.
Okay.
And ideally, that project would be another freeway that would allow traffic to run more smoothly through the state.
And that's I-10. That's south of I-10, sort of in the South Buckeye area.
Yes. So kind of roughly between State Route 85 all the way to the west, and then if you continue going east, it will eventually connect to I-17 on the east.
Okay.
So it gives really truck drivers a lot of the commerce that we have coming through the state from the ports of LA and Long Beach. It gives them that alternative route, so they don't have to sit on I-10 and go through all that traffic, and then commuters also
Right.
don't have to deal with all the trucks. It's not necessarily a truck route, it's just an alternative route to get commerce through the state. A lot of people look at this as a West Valley project, but the reality is it's an Arizona project. Because if you look at where companies are coming in, whether they're locating in the West Valley along the Loop 303, along I-10, or going further east into Chandler, Gilbert, Eloy, southern Arizona, Pinal County, they're going through that route. They're going through I-10. That's the only way to get them there. But if they had this additional route of State Route 30, that would give them the opportunity to bypass all of that and get to those areas a whole lot easier.
Okay.
The other emerging project, and hopefully it happens in our lifetime, is Interstate 11. And Interstate 11 is, years ago, it was discovered that Phoenix and Las Vegas were the only two metro areas that were not connected by a freeway. And so this birthed the concept of I-11.
By an interstate freeway.
By an interstate
Right.
freeway, thank you. And so this birthed the concept of Interstate 11. And when we started really looking at, if you just connect Phoenix to Las Vegas, you're probably exporting money out of the state. So what we really started looking at, and I say we because at the time I worked for ADOT, Department of Transportation, and we started looking at what that would look like if it went all the way south. So that has actually evolved into an entire statewide system that would go from southern Arizona, really the ports of Mexico, carrying trade and commerce north and all the way through this area, all the way north through Las Vegas, and even further north into the western seaboard states.
And this is important for the West Valley because, I mean, this is going to run right through, right just to the west of Surprise, just on the other side of the White Tank Mountains.
Yes, absolutely. Some other freeways that I want to talk about is, many people, this is a state where there's a lot of people that are new to the state. And I moved here 23 years ago, and the loop system was not yet completed.
Right.
So the 101, you still had to drive over to 99th Avenue, drive up 99th Avenue, and get on the 101 at Glendale. What I've noticed over the last 20 years of living here is the Proposition 400, which is a sales tax that's dedicated to transportation funding that has allowed the completion of that loop system and allowed all the freeways to be constructed in this area, really help build out what our economic development opportunities look like today. So you mentioned the loop, you mentioned entertainment. I look at Loop 101, and that's really primed for an entertainment corridor. You look at I-10, that's really shaping up to be the medical corridor. Loop 303, not only manufacturing industrial, but as you transition into Surprise, you start seeing more retail, more entertainment
Right.
uses. Again, so it kind of mirrors, it has the opportunity to mirror that entertainment opportunity that's existed along Loop 101 over into the Surprise and Buckeye area. So I really see that loop system has been pretty tremendous for us. So the future routes, looking at what SR 30 and what Interstate 11 can bring, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities that provides those jobs for our residents.
They really do, yeah. It brings in jobs, entertainment. An easy example is Costco wouldn't go in until we finish the roads around them. You need the roads to support the traffic, or the bigger businesses and the bigger facilities just can't survive.
Right.
Our road system is always a challenge, right? We need roads to transport goods in. We need it to help our economic development and our workforce and our jobs and our warehouses, our manufacturing, all of that. So what kind of work is WESTMARC doing to help address some of our transportation issues?
We have two committees at WESTMARC that really focus in. So let me back up. First of all, our entire board of directors is very focused on transportation because we know that transportation is the backbone of economic development. As I mentioned earlier, all of those freeways came in and boom, all of a sudden we have the jobs that we've always wanted.
Right.
So WESTMARC has two major committees that really zero in on transportation advocacy. One is our infrastructure committee, and we rotate topics on that committee. So that committee meets every month, and we discuss transportation one month, water and energy another month, and broadband connectivity the other month. But all of those topics, as you know, really kind of entwine into transportation and economic development. And so they are focused more on the planning, the nuts and bolts, and then also where do we need to go in terms of advocacy. And when we start talking about the advocacy piece, then we start having those conversations at our Public Affairs Committee. And Jody Toss with the City of Surprise, she's one of the co-chairs on our Public Affairs Committee, and she's really done a tremendous job working on Proposition 400 to get that, across the goal line and into the future as to where that's going to go. But that really is the advocacy or group that really brings that to the forefront. We also have a legislative agenda that our Public Policy Committee puts together annually, and we have specific areas that we engage on. And one of those areas is transportation. So our board of directors approves that legislative agenda, and then session hits, and then boom, we're able to advocate as an organization for these improvements down the road.
Okay. And surprise, we still have some more roads and infrastructure to build out. We're a little more rural out here, but the folks in Phoenix and a little bit further to the east have transit needs. So we're all working together to find something that addresses all of our problems, right?
Yes, and I think every community, this is a Maricopa County wide initiative, and so every community has its unique needs. Related to transportation at a specific time in their development.
Right.
And so what we needed 20 years ago is different than what we need in the next 20 years. So I think this is what this opportunity gives us.
Yeah. If we're going to sustain our growth, we can't forget about young professionals. So tell us about the West Valley Emerging Leaders Program.
So a couple of years ago, we started working with Center for the Future of Arizona, and they were meeting with young talent around the state, and they kind of lumped Maricopa County into one area, and then they said, wait a minute, we've got a bunch of people in the West Valley, we need to have a West Valley group. So they came out, they met with us, we pulled together some younger folks under 40, and had a roundtable discussion and said, what are you looking for? What makes a great community for you? And amenities, connectivity, entertainment, all of these different things is really what the younger folks wanted. They wanted opportunity to grow in their careers. So and then the pandemic hit, so that got paused a little bit, but we planned for it, and we said, we also learned from CFA, Center for the Future of Arizona, that around the age of 35, people start leaving the state. And so,
really? Okay.
Yeah, so we're thinking, well, why are they leaving the state? Is it for better jobs? Do we not have the headquarters that moves them up in their organizations? Is it the schools? They have young kids, and they're not happy with that. So we started. We said, well, let's start a program called West Valley Emerging Leaders. And so this program it's 6 times a year, and every 2 months we put out a call for nominations for people to nominate someone under 40 that they're aware of, they know that's doing great things in the community. And then we have a judging panel that reads all the nominations and determines who is the winner for that time period. And then we highlight that winner via social media. We do a video on them, we push that out there, but we really get their name out. So their names that are in the community that maybe is not like a Councilmember Judd, we don't know who they are.
Well, and I'm not under 40, so.
You and I both. And so while people might know our names, they don't necessarily know these up and comers. So it's a great way to highlight the talent that we have in the community, and really set them up for future opportunities, so that they can stay here, feel productive here, feel valued in the community, and stay here.
Well, excellent. And then you also do something called WESTMARC's West Valley Open for Business. You do webinars on this topic. So what's the basic goal of these webinars?
So this actually started during the pandemic. I was one of the crazy people that drove into my office every day, and as I was driving around the area, I would see all these cranes going up, and I thought, man, there's a lot of activity happening, but the world is shut down. Nobody really knows about it, and I wanted to make sure that when the world did open up, that we weren't starting from scratch, that people were aware of these projects. So I called Mike Hoover, Economic Development with Surprise, and Mike is the co-chair of the WESTMARC Economic Development Committee.
Right.
And so I called Mike and I said, hey, I have this crazy idea. Maybe we go out there with our iPhones or something, but let's start talking about these projects that are happening. So we sat down and we kind of fleshed out what a program would look like, and so we just started inviting these companies that were under construction with some significant projects, and we started inviting them in, and we put together a program called West Valley Open for Business, where they got to describe what they were working on, describe the time frame, their targeted audience, and then it was a webinar series because no one was out and about like this.
Right.
And we recorded it, put it on our website, and it really took off. So it initially started kind of as a member benefit also, but then we had non-members calling us saying, how can I get my project featured? So it just really took off from there.
Well, great. So, that's good for future members. I mean, it's not just cities who are members, you also have corporate members.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And the idea is, we all work together to support the West Valley, make the West Valley better, and get wins for everybody. So there are committees that have been formed with representative from folks around the West Valley. And one of those is the Education and Workforce Development Committee. What is the focus of this committee, and why is workforce development important?
So 6 years ago, we started collecting a lot of data on who we have in the West Valley. What skills do they have, education attainment, what industries do they work in, because we learned that the number one thing that companies look for when they're going to locate is workforce. So if they have the workforce in place, they're going to be successful. We started working through the Economic Development Committee and the Education Committee on a plan called West Valley Pipeline. And so West Valley Pipeline is a 5-year strategic plan to develop our workforce in targeted industries. And those targeted industries that we're trying to grow are healthcare, information technology, aerospace engineering, logistics, manufacturing, and construction. And so the work of the Education Committee today is really implementing that plan. And actually, as we near year 4 of that plan, we're looking as to what year 5 looks like, which brings me back to West Valley 3.0. West Valley 3.0 is really going to be focused on technology. So currently, as you know, we have a challenge with workforce out there, and we have a number of growing businesses. So finally, we're getting all the companies that we want, and all of a sudden we have this workforce shortage and this crisis. So we really have no time for this. And so our goal with West Valley 3.0 is to be more technology focused and really create an artificial intelligence ecosystem within the West Valley. So provide the tools for our businesses to use technology more in their day-to-day operations, so they can, be less reliant on having that, warm body in there. That doesn't mean that the warm body goes away. It just means that they now have the opportunity to upskill and do things, practice at the top of their scope within their area.
Okay. So what does an artificial intelligence ecosystem, what is that?
So an artificial intelligence environment is not replacing the human component, but it's really adding to giving them the ability to do their jobs better. I think a great example is right here in Surprise, BNSF Railroad. So BNSF, their number one company goal is safety for their employees, safety for their customers, and safety for the pedestrians and the environments, the communities that they transition through. And one of the things that they do is track inspections, obviously, and tracking inspections were customarily done by an individual walking the track. And they
Okay.
still do that. However, today, using artificial intelligence, they're able to do that more efficiently through cameras and technology. So it also aids that individual who's walking through the tracks.
Okay.
It also aids the engineer who's driving the train, that it alerts them as to any obstacles up ahead. So artificial intelligence is really, it's enhancing what the human being can do.
WESTMARC has membership opportunities as well. What does becoming a member entail, and how would you go about getting in touch?
Well, first of all, they would contact me.
Okay. And how do they contact you?
So Sintra Hoffman, my email is shoffman@westmark.org. My phone number is 623-680-0645, or you can go on the WESTMARC website. So it's westmark.org, and you can put in an inquiry for membership information.
And WESTMARC is spelled?
WESTMARC. .org.
Okay.
And so WESTMARC is it's a membership organization, as you said, and our membership is really in three major areas. It's in local government, so all of the West Valley communities are members of WESTMARC. Education, so K-12 school districts, WESTMAC, the community colleges, the universities, they're all in that mix. And then on the business community side, we really are very strategic about member recruitment. We really try to recruit members that are in the targeted industries that we're trying to grow. So healthcare, finance, insurance, information technology, aerospace, engineering, manufacturing, logistics. Those are typically the companies that are in our mix. And we also have a lot of nonprofits that want to mix with the business community, and the business community want to connect with the nonprofit communities that we have. So it really is a great place. And I think what's unique about WESTMARC, and unlike a lot of other membership organizations, is everyone's in the same room. It isn't siloed into those different areas.
Okay.
Everyone's mixing. Everyone has the opportunity to come in and build relationships that will help them advance their goals and their business development goals.
And you've done a fantastic job bringing WESTMARC together, and there's just so many more things that can be done when you have such broad partnerships and so many people working together like this. It's amazing. You're doing fantastic. Keep up the great work, and it's awesome having you here today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time being here, and just always the great conversation and all the things we work on, Councilmember.
Yep, and we love the partnership. And thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments for me, I would love to hear from you. You can call or email me anytime, and I welcome you to sign up for my newsletter, which is filled with the latest city news and information. To sign up, just click on the notifications link on my website. Thanks for watching.